Going back more than 4 millennia, from the Vedic seers, sages in India, to the modern day, we've been blessed with a rich diversity of thinkers, philosophers, theologians that have shaped our world. They've shared their ideas, thoughts, postulations on the existence, nature of reality, knowledge, ethics, and politics. Here in this video, we explore the philosophers from various regions from ancient Greece, India, China, Persia, and across the axial age, the medieval age, and the modern age.
Allowed thinkers like Thales of Miletus to ask a revolutionary question. What is the single underlying substance that everything is made of? This search for a natural, universal principle kicked off the entire project of Western philosophy. The Greeks loved to debate. You had a huge diversity of thought. Some were monists, who thought everything was made of one thing, like Thales, Heraclitus. Others were pluralists, who believed reality was made of many things, like Plato or Democritus. Some were materialists, who believed everything was physical matter, again like Heraclitus of Ephesus. Others were idealists, who believed reality was fundamentally made of ideas or was purely mental. The core quest for Greece was to find a rational order or logos that governed the universe. The driving force was to make the world understandable through the power of reason. In ancient Persia, the key figure was Zarathustra, whose idea formed the religion of Zoroastrianism. The core philosophy was ethical dualism. This is the idea that the universe is defined by a cosmic struggle between the good creator God and the destructive evil spirit. The core quest for Persia was understanding humanity's role in this universal battle between good and evil. The goal was to use your free will to align yourself with the side of truth, goodness, and order. Indian philosophy is incredibly ancient and diverse, with its roots in foundational texts called the Vedas. The many philosophical schools that grew from this tradition are split into two main groups: Astika, or the orthodox schools. These are the 6 schools that accept the authority of ancient Vedas. Nastika, or heterodox schools, are schools like Buddhism, Jainism, that rejected the authority of the Vedas and followed the teachings of their own enlightened founders. Even though they disagreed, they all debated a shared set of core ideas, including karma, the universal law of cause and effect; samsara, the repeating cycle of life, death, and rebirth; dharma, one's duty, or the cosmic law and order. The core quest for India, for almost all of these schools, wasn't just to win an argument. The central problem was to achieve moksha or nirvana for Buddhists, which means liberation from an endless cycle of suffering and rebirth. Philosophy wasn't just an intellectual exercise, it was a practical path to ultimate freedom. The golden age of Chinese philosophy was born out of a period of crisis and chaos. The old dynasty had collapsed, leading to centuries of warfare and social unrest. In response, the 100 schools of thought emerged. Each one was basically a practical program offering a solution to fix a broken society and restore order. The central question that drove almost all of Chinese philosophy was overwhelmingly social and political. The core quest for Chinese philosophy was discovering the Tao, the proper way to create a well-ordered family, a stable state, and a harmonious world. The focus was on practical ethics and good governance. Confucius taught that the way to restore order was by returning to traditional values and rituals. His contemporary Lao Tzu advocated for a simpler, more natural way of life in harmony with the Tao, the effortless flow of the universe. The medieval age between the 2nd century BC to 14th century CE. Roman philosophy is best understood not as creating brand new ideas, but as being masters of adapting and applying Greek philosophy to the real world. From the very beginning, Romans were more interested in the practical stuff, especially ethics and politics. They weren't as concerned with the abstract questions like what is the ultimate nature of reality. Instead, they wanted a philosophy for life, a practical guide on how to be a good citizen, a good leader, and a good person. So Rome's lasting legacy wasn't inventing new philosophies, but in making philosophy a vital, practical part of everyday educated life. Thinkers like Epictetus and Emperor Marcus Aurelius were deeply influenced by Stoicism, which offered a materialistic view focused on inner resilience. Others like Plotinus and Saint Augustine were heavily influenced by Neoplatonism, which is a more spiritual or idealist philosophy. During this age, Persian philosophy, mainly through Zoroastrianism, gave history a purpose and a direction. In this view, history isn't just a random series of events. It's a grand cosmic drama with a clear beginning, middle, and a final end. The beginning, creation and the introduction, evil into the world. The middle, our current reality, where good and evil are constantly in conflict. The end, a final event called the Frashokereti, where good finally triumphs, evil is defeated for good, and the universe is restored to its perfect state. And here's the key part. Humans are the main characters in this drama. Our moral choices aren't meaningless. They actually help decide the outcome of this cosmic war. This powerful idea that history is a meaningful story heading towards a final goal has been incredibly influential on many world religions and cultures. During this age in India, philosophy developed around a fascinating central question. What is the ultimate source of truth and authority? The two main camps emerged from this debate. The Orthodox school's Astika, the group believed that the ultimate authority came from the ancient sacred texts known as the Vedas. Their job as philosophers was to interpret, defend, and organize the timeless wisdom found within these scriptures. Their source of authority was the ancient texts, the Vedas. The heterodox schools, which included Buddhism and Jainism, rejected the authority of the old texts. Instead, they placed their authority in an enlightened person. For Buddhists, the truth comes from Buddha. For Buddhists, the truth comes from Buddha's direct experience of enlightenment. Their source of authority was the enlightened founders. So the whole debate was essentially ancient texts versus enlightened people. This is very different from the Greek ideal, where authority was supposed to come from a good logical argument that anyone could challenge. Within these traditions, philosophy grew through brilliant thinkers who offered their own interpretations. Figures like Nagarjuna built upon Buddha's ideas. In the orthodox schools, thinkers like Adi Sankaracharya and Ramanujacharya developed different versions of Vedanta, and you had bold thinkers like Madhvacharya who challenged the dominant non-dualistic view by arguing that God and the individual soul are fundamentally separate. As we enter the age between the 14th century CE and 18th century, this 400-year period was a time of incredible change. We shifted from the religious philosophy of the Middle Ages to a new focus on human beings. Thinkers all across Europe began to challenge traditional authority. Instead of just accepting what they were told, they placed human reason and experience at the center of their search for knowledge. This is the era that gave us two foundational movements of modern philosophy: rationalism and empiricism. English philosophy during this time is all about empiricism. This is the core idea that all of our knowledge comes from sensory experience. This way of thinking laid the groundwork for modern scientific method. Thomas Hobbes had a pretty grim view of human nature. He said that without a government in the state of nature, life would just be very chaotic. War of every man against every man. His solution was a social contract. People agreed to give up some of their freedom to an absolute ruler in exchange for peace and safety. He believed people are mainly driven by self-interest. John Locke had a different take. He argued that we are born with no innate ideas. Instead, he said, the mind at birth is a blank slate, tabula rasa. Everything we know is written on that slate by experience, which comes from two places: sensation, what our senses tell us about the outside world, and reflection, our mind thinking about its own operations. During its golden age, Netherlands was known for its relative tolerance, which made it the perfect place for bold and innovative ideas to grow. Baruch Spinoza. Spinoza was a brilliant rationalist who took Descartes' idea in a new direction. He completely rejected the idea of separate mind and body. Instead, argued there is only one substance in the entire universe. He called the substance both God and nature. For Spinoza, everything, you, me, stars, our thoughts, are all just different modes of expression of this one single divine reality. German philosophy built a powerful rationalist tradition that all led up to one monumental figure, Immanuel Kant. Leibniz was a true genius, a master of both philosophy and mathematics. Rationalist who believed reality is made of tiny, indivisible, non-physical substance. He called it monads. Think of them like the universe's basic building blocks, each one a tiny point of perception. He famously argued that because God is perfect, the world he created must be the best of all possible worlds. Immanuel Kant is a central figure of modern philosophy. He created a revolutionary system that synthesized rationalism and empiricism. He agreed that with the empiricists, that our knowledge begins with experience, but he said it doesn't all come from experience. Kant argued that our minds come with a built-in operating system, innate concepts like space, time, and causality. These structures shape how we experience the world. The stunning conclusion: we can never know things as they truly are in themselves, only as they appear to us through the filters of our own minds. French philosophy in this era was defined by the Enlightenment. Thinkers championed the power of reason to reform society. One of the prominent ones, René Descartes, often called the father of modern philosophy. Descartes kicked off the tradition of rationalism, the idea that reason is the ultimate source of knowledge. He wanted to find one thing he could absolutely be certain of. To do this, he used a method of radical doubt, questioning everything. He found his answer in the famous phrase, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. He realized he couldn't doubt his own existence as a thinking being. From this, he argued that the mind, the thinking stuff, is completely separate from the body, the physical stuff. This is known as Cartesian dualism. I hope this content was beneficial to you. Thank you for watching this video. Please do like, share your comments, subscribe for more content like this.